Thief takedowns, liars exposed, and fury caught on camera. 20 wild Teslacam stories start right now.
Bam! Teslacam! I hope you're satisfied!
This emitter was eating a sandwich in his parked Tesla when his friend pointed out a shirtless man riding by on a bicycle before looking back as if he was trying to evade someone. Seconds later, another man wearing a bike helmet went running past them, yelling, "Stop him! He stole my bike!" Our submitter saw that nobody else was reacting, so he felt the need to intervene. He sped off to offer his assistance to the bike owner in chasing down the thief. At first, the cyclist had difficulty opening his Tesla's unique door handles. Eventually, he managed to get the door open, and the chase was on. Our submitter cautiously followed the thief as safely and legally as he could. At one point, the cyclist tried to get out and confront the thief, but he sped off once more. Eventually, the bike thief gave up and dumped the bike before its owner confronted him and gave him a piece of his mind. Our submitter told us he was worried the situation might turn violent, so he drove off with his door still open to avoid getting involved. Sadly, in his attempt to put some distance between himself and the two men, he collided with a curb and rashed one of his wheels. Well, nobody said being a hero didn't come with a price. Well done to our submitter. He's a real MVP. Dean was taking an exit toward New Jersey's Garden State Parkway when the driver of the white pickup ahead of him suddenly hit the brakes. Dean was able to safely stop, but the driver behind him didn't even slow down before rear-ending his Tesla. It looks like the Subaru driver was looking over her shoulder in preparation of merging into the next lane instead of watching traffic ahead of her, a common mistake. Neither driver was hurt, but the Subaru was immobilized by the impact. When police arrived, they were able to shift it into neutral and push it to the shoulder with a police car so traffic could continue flowing. Dean was impressed by the New Jersey State Police officer's maneuver. He's now waiting to see how much it will cost to repair his Tesla. Chris was driving his brand new Model Y down a highway when a 10-inch long, half-inch thick lag bolt fell off the trailer ahead of him. Chris was using full self-driving at the time, and FSD didn't swerve or make any attempt to avoid the bolt as it bounced along the road before impaling his front bumper cover. Chris left the interstate at the next exit to check for damage, and that's when he discovered the bolt was buried an inch inside his bumper cover. He had to twist it backward to unscrew it from the bumper cover, leaving a large hole and deformation behind. When a local Tesla-authorized repair shop inspected the damage, they determined the entire front bumper assembly would need to be replaced, which cost $3,100 US. Michael was on his way home from a late-night poker game when he also witnessed some trailer action as he followed a pickup towing a boat. When the trailer went over a bump, sparks showered from the back. Michael immediately slowed down and kept his distance. Just as he began to catch up to the pickup, a loose tire came rolling straight toward his Tesla. Michael informed the pickup driver his tire had rolled down the hill and wished him a safe night before continuing. Sebastian discovered his Model 3 had been keyed after he returned to where it was parked in a grocery store parking lot. The vandal wasn't the sharpest light bulb in the toolbox, though. It's clear he had no idea he was being watched by Sentry mode. Sebastian reviewed his Sentry mode footage, finding clear shots of the criminal's face and license plate, as well as perfect footage of the crime being committed. He immediately filed a report with the San Antonio Police Department. Now that's a police response. Alan was working when he suddenly received a Sentry mode notification that his Tesla's alarm had been triggered. There's Alan right there. He looked up and saw the scooter rider right next to his Tesla, so he knew immediately what had happened. He asked the rider for his information, but he was unlicensed, uninsured, and his scooter wasn't even registered. Alan called the police to report the collision. The rider quickly said he had to leave, but Alan warned him that it would be considered a hit and run if he did. Even so, he left after waiting for just a few more minutes. His reason for leaving? He told Alan he needed to get to the hospital for the birth of his son. Incredibly, he came back the next day to ask Alan to drop the whole thing, but Alan told him, "No sir, you hit and ran. My insurance provider will be coming after you." He then returned a second time, this time with his mother in tow, to ask Alan to drop the insurance claim. They offered him $700 in cash for the damages. Wisely, Alan turned them down. Thankfully, the insurance company fully covered the $3,000 in repairs, so Alan didn't have to pay a penny for the damages out of his own pocket. Uh-oh, are we about to witness some Tesla-on-Tesla violence? Jeremy sent us this video after a Model Y driver backed into his Cybertruck after he parked it at the Orlando International Airport. Both the driver and passenger of the Model Y clearly saw what happened, and the driver immediately exited his Tesla to inspect the damage. Now, you'd think the Model Y driver would know all about Sentry mode and he'd own up to his mistake rather than get caught on camera committing a hit and run, right? You bet he didn't. He took off, making this a hit and run and proving to the world that he's never heard of Wham Bam Teslacam. Jeremy has reported the collision to the Orlando Police Department, and he's now waiting to have the damage to his bumper cover and paint protection film repaired. This submitter was using full self-driving when a crossing cyclist ran a red light. FSD slammed on the brakes and came to a full stop before the cyclist rammed the side of the Tesla. Our submitter noted that FSD's braking probably saved that guy's life. If it hadn't stopped, he probably would have hit him head-on. And how did the cyclist show his gratitude for not dying? He took off, leaving our submitter with an idiot-shaped dent in his door and scratches down the side of his Tesla. Marcus's Tesla was filming as a police car patrolled his small town, but the cops weren't after any criminals, they were after this guy. Marcus told us this moose is famous around town. He weighs 1,300 pounds and has been named Emil by the local newspaper reporters. Obviously, Emil lacks any respect for the police, as he just walked around the cop car as officers tried to block him from walking into a train station. He made it past their blockade with ease before this picture was taken. Marcus told us the trains were held up for hours while they waited for Emil to move on. Andrew was driving down an Oklahoma highway when he suddenly found himself in a cloud of dust. He spotted the cause of the small dust storm. A truck had blown a tire before spinning out and kicking up a bunch of dirt from the shoulder. Andrew managed to stop in time, but the driver of the Ford behind him had a little more difficulty getting around the stopped truck, going off-road in the grass to avoid a collision. Check out this unfriendly neighborhood Spider-Man. The guy had actually sprayed shaving cream on our submitter's Tesla, which he was able to clean off without any permanent damage. Since it was ultimately harmless, he chose not to pursue the matter any further, other than sending the footage to Wham Bam, that is. This submitter was forced to detour around a rolled-over semi-truck on his way home from work. He was driving down an unfamiliar road with a 50-mile-per-hour speed limit when a Lexus driver nearly pulled out in front of him. The Lexus driver obviously didn't do a great job checking for traffic, and it's possible his view of the road was impeded by an oncoming truck pulling a trailer. Regardless, he pulled out before ensuring he had an opening. When our submitter noticed the impatient Lexus driver, he hit the brakes, slowing down as he passed the car. After the brief scare, he continued on his way home, but moments later, he noticed the same Lexus approaching rapidly in his rearview mirror. He knew this was a no-passing zone, so he sped up a little, hoping the Lexus driver wouldn't tailgate him. The Lexus then passed him in the marked no-passing zone at around 75 to 80 miles per hour while they were still in the 50-mile-per-hour zone. The driver then brake-checked our submitter to a complete stop before getting out of his car and screaming while approaching him. Our submitter backed up to give himself room to escape in case it became necessary. He told us the Lexus driver was yelling at him for speeding even after he'd illegally passed him at high speed. Obviously, the guy was projecting his own bad driving onto our submitter after nearly causing a collision earlier. Our submitter hasn't yet contacted the police, as making an official report may make it possible for this unhinged individual to find out where he lives. What do you think? Should he risk it and report the road rager for his dangerous behavior? Oliver was driving a loaner Model Y after dropping off his Model S Plaid for service. He parked the Tesla on the street overnight before getting a notification that the alarm had been triggered at around 3:30 a.m. It looks like a pickup had driven past his Tesla before the engine died. The driver was then pushing it off the road while waiting for a tow truck. Incredibly, Oliver had noticed the loaner's flash drive was unplugged when he'd picked it up, and it's a good thing he plugged it back in. The pickup driver pushed his truck too far before it made contact with the Model Y. Who could have seen that coming? After checking the live feed in the Tesla app, Oliver went out to confront the pickup driver. He denied that anything had happened until Oliver showed him the Sentry mode footage. He managed to get the guy's insurance information and provided it to the service center. It'll be up to them to file an insurance claim to get the damage fixed. Charles came to a stop for a traffic light, but the driver behind him wasn't paying attention as he slammed into the back of his Tesla, in spite of the fact that he had plenty of time to notice both the red light and Charles's stopped vehicle. The other driver told Charles that the wet road surface had caused him to skid, but the Teslacam footage proves that wasn't the case. Once Charles informed him he had footage of the collision, the other driver accepted responsibility in his statement to the police. Raymond had come to a stop for heavy traffic due to construction ahead, but the driver behind him made no attempt to stop before rear-ending his Tesla. Then, after Raymond pulled off the highway, the other driver followed him before rear-ending him again on the shoulder. But wait, there's more! The other driver rear-ended Raymond a third and a fourth time, although the vehicle was empty at the time. Does that still count? Raymond told us the damage is extensive, but not very visible, so he's not sure what the insurance company will decide to do with his Tesla. He also said this collision had a silver lining. It gave him a video to send to Wham Bam, and because of that, he's satisfied. Steven was at the bank paying off his Tesla loan. Seriously, it sure would be unfortunate if something were to happen to his Tesla just as he was making the final payment, right? Cue up the Range Rover. The driver of a Range Rover had been planning to take a parking spot across from Steven's, and the fact that he let his passenger out to guide him in was a sign that things were about to go poorly. When he backed up to straighten out, he reversed too far before bumping into Steven's Tesla, evidently not watching where he was going. He then squeezed his way out of his SUV after a less than perfect parking job, then walked over to check on Steven's Tesla. After quickly deciding there was no damage, he returned to the bank where he actually met Steven in the doorway. He'd already gotten a notification and watched the footage, so he immediately asked the guy if there was any damage before walking over to check for himself. After deciding the damage was minimal, Steven returned to the bank to complete his transaction. We're just going to let this video play, and you can guess where it was taken. If you guess this footage came from Down Under, you're correct. Full self-driving was just released in Australia, and this footage demonstrates it's about to be seriously tested. We're looking forward to the influx of FSD videos sent to us by our Aussie fans. Aditya was leaving his university lab where he works on autonomous vehicle driving simulations. But as he headed out to grab some dinner, he was about to experience more than a simulation. Out of nowhere, a Honda came flying around a turn before cutting across multiple lanes. Aditya saw what was happening and honked, but the Honda driver didn't even slow down as they kept heading into his lane. Aditya instinctively punched the juice pedal. He's thankful for the instant torque of his Model 3, which allowed him to barely escape getting T-boned. The Honda did still clip the rear of his Tesla, damaging the rear bumper cover, quarter panel, and wheel. Both drivers stopped and exchanged insurance information. Aditya told us he's still shaken by the incident, but he's incredibly grateful to have the Teslacam footage that reveals exactly what happened. He also said one of the nicest things anyone has said to us. He believes our videos help collision victims feel seen, turning something scary into something people can learn from, and maybe even laugh at. He thanked us for building a community where people won't feel alone when things go wrong. Thanks, Aditya. We're glad you're satisfied. Michael was driving along when another driver pulled up next to him before throwing a AA battery at his passenger side door. As they pulled up to a red light, the guy got out of his own vehicle before reaching into Michael's Tesla and continuing to yell something at him. Michael filed a criminal complaint against the other driver with the police. Fixing the damage to his door is estimated to cost over $2,700 US. This submitter was driving down a Wisconsin highway when he noticed that a pickup driver appeared to be preparing to roll coal. He actually listed the indicators he noticed: oversized tailpipe, passenger watching him, and missing license plates. He wasn't wrong. He told us he let his foot off the juice pedal the moment he realized what was happening, and the regen braking slowed him down so the pickup shot past him right as it blew out its diaper. Sure, you might think dinosaur farts are just fun and games, but it's only a matter of time before a large amount of smoke causes someone to lose all visibility and wreck. Bobby was driving his Cybertruck when the driver of the SUV ahead of him moved over so he could pass. When he did, Bobby discovered the reason: a kid in the back seat wanted to wave at him. That's awesome. Bobby told us they both pulled into the same grocery store parking lot, so here's hoping the kid got a full tour of the awesome pickup truck. If you like Teslas as much as this kid does, you should subscribe so you'll be notified about our next video. We promise you don't want to miss it.